really say he hit her. Well, actually, she did say he hit her, but also he broke a bunch of property. Okay, the damages that was about $7,000. I think that she was with 50. 50 don't want her no more, or she don't want 50, but she want to upgrade. She want another dude that's in the industry. She can't go date another rapper. You go from 50 Cent to like, I don't know, to I can't say Tony Yayo, but like to somebody who's just not that popping. Women want to be in the same caliber or upgrade. And I think Diddy was one of the few people. Did you see what Cassie said when Cassie said, there's a moment when Cassie and Capricorn Clark, I believe, were talking, and they were trying to get Cassie they were trying to convince her. I think it was Capricorn Clark, or maybe Mia. Maybe it was Mia. No, it was Mia actually. And Mia says to Cassie, "Yo, Cassie, you should date somebody else." And Cassie's mind immediately says, "Who the hell am I supposed to date? Jay-Z's already got a wife. He already got Beyonce." And it kind of tells you that these women were not willing to downgrade in lifestyle, or men. They wanted the creme de la creme. They wanted the top guy. They were not going to leave Diddy and get with, like, I don't know, like a regular rapper or a regular person in the music industry. So even Cassie herself, when she was, encouraged to leave Diddy, her first thought was, and go where? Like, who can I date? The other eligible person that I would want or care to entertain, he already has a wife. So it goes to show the mentality of these women. So even with Daphne Joy, if she leaves Diddy, right? If she leaves Diddy, or she leaves 50, she wants somebody who's also larger than life. And I would argue that, I still don't think Diddy and his accomplishments. Who do you think is bigger in music overall? I think 50. I think 50's 50, right? But Diddy is like a mogul. Catalog and Bad Boys spanned and lasted generations. Yeah. So I think she wanted to be the main girl of Diddy. And trying to be the main girl of Diddy came with some compromises. I think she probably thought, all right, we're only going to do this one time. Now, it's kind of interesting. Like with Cassie, it looks like with both situations, Diddy would kind of just keep floating out like, this is a game Diddy would use. He would start talking to these girls and start saying to them, "Yo, you got any weird fantasies, or you got any type of out of the box fantasies?" He would try to get them to come clean. Then he would tell them his and be like, "You know what?" And I think he was always trying to get these girls into it by acting like it's the first time. Like, you know what? You know what'd be dope? It'd be dope if like I could watch you fuck, because when I'm fucking you, I imagine how it looks. So maybe if you fuck like somebody else, and they're probably thinking he never did it before, because I'm guessing with all this, I don't think he's telling these women that, oh, this is what I do. But then again, you don't think like after years, these women probably have heard the rumors, right? You don't think they've heard the rumors? And I think the way how he was even talking to Daphne, I think he was a straight shooter at that point. I think he felt he messed up with Cassie because Cassie got so emotionally involved. It led to other things. Cassie was starting to become an emotional wreck. So when it comes to Daphne, he tells her straight up, yo, I got mad other girls. You could get down with it though. I'll take care of you. But I just gotta let you know I got other women. He wasn't telling Cassie that. He was telling Cassie that, yo, I don't rock with Kim Porter like that anymore romantically. He was hiding other girls from Cassie. You know?
And so it might have resonated what the judge said to Diddy yesterday, right before we had went to the lunch break, just yesterday around the same time. And so as far as what we're seeing, it's not as intense as it was yesterday. But I think after the judge's words to him, I think he realized, okay, I got to chill out on doing the nodding.
So, he's not looking at the jurors, because we got a question here from RSS. He's not nodding at the jurors. Is he looking at the jurors? Are the jurors looking at him? Because this is important testimony. I guess the question is, what are the jurors doing when they're listening to the testimony of Jane?
Yeah, so from what I see, and I did try to get a better seat for you guys today so I could kind of really see more of like the second row, the third row. I can't see the first row as much as I normally could from where I normally sit. But as far as what I did see from the jurors today, I did see them either looking directly at Jane while she's testifying.
All right, court is back. Let me try to get back into this show. Okay, this is the afternoon session. let's get into it. Okay, so they break and then they're back. Okay, Comey says this afternoon we're going to be showing some explicit exhibits. So these are going to be pornographic images. They're going to be in a binder. So not to be on the council screens, but council will come up and see them at any time. The judge says, okay, bring in the witnesses and the jury. They say, all rise. Comey says, have you seen this man? Jane says, yes. Sean brought him to our hotel in L.A. I was in a robe and lingerie, the whole wardrobe I usually have. AUSA says, what happened in the living room of the suite? Jane says, I knew this was something I couldn't fake. AUSA says, well, what do you mean you couldn't fake it? She says, I was repulsed by him. I tried for 30 minutes. Then I told Sean, can I talk to you in the bedroom? There I told him, I can't. I tried again, but no. I told Sean, I'm sorry. How did Diddy respond? Diddy was agitated. Then another man came. Comey says, did Sean talk to you first? No. Who's this? That's a man I met with in New York. I told him I didn't want to go to New York if it was just to set me up with a man. He said, no, one-on-one. So I went. So apparently she's now saying multiple times here that Diddy is telling her, no, me and you, we're going to do our thing one-on-one. And then when she goes to do her thing with Diddy, or she'll travel, and by the way, this is help proven sex trafficking. I'm going to be honest. Yo, if you lie to a girl or you promise something and you renege, that becomes sex trafficking. It does. Especially if you promise a sexual advance, a favor, or promise an act. Yeah, I could see it. Because again, it's interstate sex, sex trafficking at that point. And also, you remember by force, fraud, or coercion, like you're lying. So if you lie to someone, right? Like the idea that you fly somebody out and it's sex trafficking, that's not true. If you tell somebody, hey, I'm flying you out for $300, I'm flying you out and I want to fuck you and I want to pay you $300. And she's like, okay, I'll come fuck you for $300. Now, the difference between that and the prostitution charge is that she flies out, she sees you, and you fuck her and you don't pay her the money, then that kind of opens the door to what sex trafficking is, right? Especially if, there's other mitigating factors where maybe she told you like, hey, I need this money for rent, this and third. You're like, all right, cool, come get it for rent. That means, you probably coerced her and also you use fraud to basically acquire sex. And especially if it's, they call it commercial sex acts, right? So it has to be, it's kind of like hazy, at least for me, about what commercial sex acts are. I don't want to Google it, though. It might bring up porn. Anyway, let me Google it over here. What are commercial sex acts? Okay, the definition of commercial sex act means any sex act on account of which something of value is given or received by the person. Okay, so basically if you were getting paid for it, right? Okay, that makes sense. So I met a man in New York. I told him I didn't want to go if it was just to set me up with a man. He said no, it was going to be one-on-one, so I went. Comey says, did you get Wi-Fi on the plane? Jane says, yes. Sean sent me a text. Says, do you want entertainment tonight? How did you feel? She said, disappointed. My thought of seeing my lover was shot down. AUSA says, where did you go in New York? She says, to the Trump Hotel. Jane says, I saw the assistant set up the room with red lights for hotel nights. I took this photograph. Okay, so she took a photograph of the room. Not shown on gallery. They don't show up to the gallery. What happened next? I told Sean, I don't want to do this. He was just super defensive. Okay. I feel like I have a nose here that's fucking just like tickling me. That's why, if you're wondering why I'm touching my nose, pause. Okay. I don't want to do this. He was super defensive. What happens next? Jane says on the way back to the room, Sean gave me a pill. Ooh, yeah, this is getting bad. He's drugging her, right? You would imagine, right? Or at least giving a drug she's not asking for. AUSA says, what's this? He said, ecstasy. I took it. The man was in the room. We had a small talk. I let him touch my leg a little. I took Sean to the bedroom and told him, I can't do this. How did Sean react? He was agitated. I called another performer. Why? That's a hard question. At that point in the relationship, I just knew what he wanted. So she said she couldn't do it with the random guy that Diddy had. So she told him in the room, yo, I can't do this shit, bro. And then Diddy's mad. So she says she calls up a guy because, remember at that point she was starting to have a little rapport with certain dudes. She clearly wanted the same dudes if she had to do it. She claimed she never wanted to do it, but if she had to do it, she wanted the same dudes. Diddy always wanted a different dude, okay? And so was Sean paying your rent? It says yes. Did he mention it? Okay, let's see. Objection. Judge says time frame. It said was this after Sean started paying your rent? Jane says, yes, I called Sly. He was excited. He flew to New York that night. Damn. So Sly was like, all right, fuck. I'm coming through. I'm coming to get that pussy. So he flies from Atlanta to New York. And so what happens then? It was nice. We had sex in front of Sean at the Trump Hotel. Wow. Jesus. It is definitely getting real up in that courtroom, chat. It is.
Especially during those moments where she got super emotional and she began crying. And then I also saw them looking at AUSA Maureen Comey, too, while she was kind of doing her lines of questioning. And so there were times where you could see jurors looking at Maureen Comey, then looking at Jane on the witness stand, or they're just laser focused on Jane. Or some of them I've seen are just jotting down a bunch of notes. I have seen a lot of notes because there were exhibits that were shown and a lot of exhibits that were shown. Unfortunately, during Jane's testimony, we in the gallery and even those in the overflow room cannot see it. But we're hearing a lot of descriptions of them. For example, the many lines of escorts and the escorts photographs that the jurors saw today and that Jane saw today too. But from what I could see of them, really it seems like they're paying very close attention. I didn't see any outwardly kind of facial expressions as far as maybe being confused or anything like that. Really, they're just kind of like, I really kind of want to know myself what's going on in their minds sometimes, because sometimes they just have a very stone cold face kind of going on while they're listening to a lot of graphic testimony.
By the way, did you hear that recording that was played in court today regarding, I think you could hear Combs, Jane, and this guy named Don, right? What was that recording?
Yes, well, let me get to that part of my notes. Because
I'll tell you what, as you get to your notes, I will give you another good question for you. This is from I Do Voodoo 1. Elizabeth, I forgot what skincare you use. What shorthand program are you using? You rock. So if you want to answer that, or you want to answer the more serious question about the recording as you get to your notes.
I mean, I can always answer.
It's
I love answering those types of questions. Because my skincare looks good, or is it a iPhone recording? And so it was a conversation that was recorded by, I believe it was Diddy recording this on an iPhone, because that's kind of what they did during these hotel sessions and these hotel nights. And so one of the conversations was recorded about Jane wanting the escorts to wear a condom. And so when we first hear the exhibit, because again, we can't see it, but we can hear this audio, the jurors can see this, so you can hear voices. It's all jumbled up. I'm kind of like, what is this that we're hearing? And Jane said it was herself on this recording, Don and Diddy on this recording. And she said during this video, she was asking Don to put on a condom, and Diddy said, what are you doing? What do you want? And so then Maureen Comey replays it again, and she kind of takes it piece by piece as far as what was being said. So Jane said, I think they're in the chair, and she was referring to as condoms. And then Diddy said something along the lines of, you were just taking that D if you don't touch yourself right now. And then Jane was explaining, I understand that my request was going to be denied. And then Maureen Comey asked, well, why did you need permission from Mr. Combs for an escort to have sex with your body? And then Jane's getting pretty emotional here. And then Jane herself responded, I don't know, I'm still trying to process everything. And then there was an objection from the defense. They had a sidebar. And then when they came back from this sidebar, Maureen Comey asked again, why didn't you insist that Don wear a condom? And Jane responded, I didn't want to disappoint my lover. He wouldn't be in a good mood or satisfied with the night if she were to continue asking this. And she said for the most part, Diddy preferred for the escorts to not be wearing rubbers or condoms when they're having sex with her. She said that he doesn't like seeing these on the escort's body. And so it was just an interesting kind of recording to kind of hear out in court. At first I was like, what are these words? Like, I really couldn't comprehend it. But as they broke it down, I was kind of like, oh, okay, now I can see where they're kind of going with this a little bit.
So, got a great compliment just came in from Donnie ZTV. Thank you so much for this super chat comment. Jesse, you and Elizabeth rock, so thank you so much. Very kind of you to say. Okay, we did have a question here from Shop Girl. and I don't know if you were in court for this. We saw reporting about it. What was the extent of Diddy's aggravation when he was obviously angry speaking to his attorneys? There was something reported about that. I think the jury had been excused maybe on a break, and he was quite animated speaking with his attorneys. Did you see anything like that?
I didn't see anything like that. I might have been a point where I stepped out to use the restroom, but I mean, wow, I'm just hearing this for the first time. So I didn't see it in person. So unfortunately, I can't answer too much of your question. I think I might have just gone off to the restroom, I guess, when that moment might have happened.
So Elizabeth, would you agree with me and pick out the points? Do you feel that from today's testimony and a little bit from yesterday, they are solidifying transportation to engage in prostitution, where Diddy is accused of transporting sex workers and alleged victims for the purposes of prostitution, for the purposes of sex work? You don't need force, fraud, or coercion necessarily. It's more of a straightforward charge. Were there some highlights today that you say they got it in the bag for that?
I think so. For example, when we were seeing just the number of escort exhibits, we saw a man named Don. He was an escort that Jane and Diddy had used. And the last time she saw Don, this particular escort, I thought it was interesting. The last time that she had sex with him, and during these hotel nights, even though sometimes they didn't always happen in hotels, the last time was August of 2024. So like just last month, not last month, oh my goodness, last year, but a month before Diddy was arrested. Then there was an exhibit shown to the jury and to Jane. It was Paul the escort. And that Paul was used from 2021 until July of 2024. Jane thought that he was a personal trainer because he actually trained Diddy, but he also worked for Cowboys for Angels. But I think the sticking point here is that she saw him in Los Angeles. She saw him in Miami. She saw him in Turks and Caicos. There was Leo, the escort, or also referred to as the Italian. She met him in 2022 on her birthday. The last time she saw him was in 2020.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Let's get a couple more tweets in here, people. All right. Jane says, me and Sean had to go our separate ways, but I didn't want Sly to feel like we were just leaving him. So cash was brought to the front desk for him by an assistant. Comey says, which one? Joey. He said, this man, I had sex with him in front of Sean. And another, he said, that's a Spanish buff man. He felt a bit odd. He was a bit odd, I felt. He was pulling out this scent to smell during sex. I don't know. He said, in front of Sean? Yes. And another. He said, a man who looked more European at L'Hermitage. We had sex twice. AUSA says, which entertainers did you see most often? Paul and Sly. AUSA says, which ones did you reach out to? I reached out to them. Also, Anton and Don. Damn. So Daphne was ran through too. Damn, yo, Diddy has had like 50 or like, well, shit, I think Diddy had 50 women, 50 men, fuck 50's baby mom. Ain't that ironic? Diddy made 50 niggas fuck 50's baby mom. That's crazy. So these are our favorite escorts. Paul, Sly, Anton, and Don. 4 dudes. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Yeah, imagine wifing up Daphne after that shit. You know what comes to mind. I think I played the sound effect already. I ain't gonna lie, man. After 100 niggas fuck your chick, man. Like, come on, bruv. Come on, bruv. Somebody says 50 was the mark. I wonder if this is gonna sound a little wrong. I wonder if 50 has maybe some buyer's remorse too. Put it like this: if everybody know that that's the town whore, and again, I hate to refer to these women like that because they're saying they're victims, but if every nigga is running through her, I don't want to be the nigga who gives her a kid, right? Like, you don't want to be the nigga who gives her a child after everybody is running through her, right? You don't want to be that person, right? I wonder if 50's now saying, man, I should have. Because 50 was legit dating her, right? I wonder if 50 thinks like, man, I fucked up. I shouldn't have had. But I'm pretty sure he loves his son. He loves his son, right?
23, and that they would use him every so often, but she saw him in Los Angeles. There was an unnamed escort that she was shown an exhibit of, met him in 2021, and this was the escort that she said that she was repulsed by him, that he was super sweaty, he had smelled, she was hesitant with him, and that he was used in just different places too. So I think if anything, that the prosecution does have that working for them. I think it is still kind of up in the air as far as count 4 goes when it pertains to sex trafficking with Jane's specific count. But as far as just transportation to engage in prostitution, I think Maureen Comey is really kind of making great points here and there where it's like, well, where did you see this individual? Was it in Miami? Was it in Vegas? Was it in Los Angeles? And even for Dawn, for example, one of the first escorts that that Jane had booked on her own, she was explaining that he was someone that they always flew out from Atlanta to wherever they.
Nah, chat, y'all foul for that, chat. Y'all foul for that. Niggas say,
you gotta go get some.
Right.
Many men wish death upon me.
Many men.
20 years I'm death upon me, Lord. I don't cry no more. Many men. Somewhere my heart turned cold. Have mercy on many men. Many men.
Yo, you ask her body count, she's like,
Many men.
uh-huh. Yo, Daphne, how much is your body count, girl?
Many men. Heart turned cold. Have mercy on many men.
How much?
Many men. Wish death upon me.
God damn.
Were, either it be in Los Angeles or other places, and that they would be arranged, the travel as far as Dawn was concerned would either be arranged by Jane herself, but she would be reimbursed by Diddy, or it'd be by Diddy's travel agent who would get everything going as far as making the flights for him and then flying him out from where his home was. Now,
let me ask you a question. Y'all think they were doing it solely for money, or they were doing it because they were in a relationship and they loved him? Because let me ask you a question. If you, not saying y'all are into this, but if you have a girlfriend, or let's say you're married, do you feel like you could convince your girlfriend to fuck someone in front of you? And if you're a woman and you're with a guy and you've been with him for 5 years and you love him, and he says, baby, like, I have this one fantasy. I just want to see you fuck some stranger, some random guy in front of me. Would you do it?
Atlanta, Georgia, over to wherever Diddy and Jane were.
Just to clarify here, Elizabeth, what are the points you think the defense is going to jump on? And when I say that is, I'm reading the transcript, and there's certain parts of her testimony that I don't think are great for the prosecution. You know, I mentioned it before, but the idea of there was this sweaty individual, and it doesn't seem, unless I'm wrong, Combs forced her to actually continue sexual relations with him. That she still talks like a loving relationship with Sean Combs, you know, that she wanted to be in his arms. She just wanted to be with him. She loved him. I mean, she was dating him up until his arrest in 2024, that she was the one who was writing sexually explicit messages to these sex workers, seemingly, you know, she says it was at Sean Combs' request. But are there certain avenues, certain points in her testimony today where you feel the defense is going to focus on, or you feel there are openings for the defense to exploit?
I think the defense is definitely going to ask Jane how she feels about Diddy today, as far as whether or not she still has feelings for him. Because I think there are times during her direct testimony where you can kind of feel like she is a little apprehensive. I don't know if it's about testifying in general, or that she may have kind of conflicted feelings where she was seeing this person up until September of 2024. They had a long a long relationship beginning all the way in 2021, not as long as Cassie and Diddy were together as far as that 11-year on and off period. But I think they're going to ask her, what are your thoughts on Diddy? Do you still love him? I think they're also going to ask her, you initiated some of these hotel nights. You were the one sending these messages to these entertainment or pornography stars, and you were the one making sure that you were bringing them to wherever you were. Were you a willing participant? Did you say no, or are you just saying that because the government called you? I feel like they're really going to poke holes in her story, possibly use her text messages against her as they've done kind of with other witnesses, and possibly ask her, well, you were kind of getting something out of this, and that was her rent being paid for. Again, that rent being $10,000 a month, which I did the math wrong yesterday. I said it was 8 times more than my rent. It's 5 times more than my rent, but still, that's a lot of money to pay for rent for somebody else. But as far as just where the defense is going to poke holes, I think they kind of have a lot possibly working for them. I think one interesting thing, Jesse, is that there was a moment yesterday where the judge was asking, can everyone stay a little bit later? Because they know that Jane has to get off the stand by Thursday because she has to make a flight. But Alexandra Shapiro stood up and was like, I can't stay late. And she was talking about it yesterday. She's like, I can't stay late today because I have this other event. But I really want to stay here for all of Jane's testimony because we believe she's one of the most important witnesses in the case. So I think that the defense knows just how important Jane's testimony is. But I think they definitely kind of have a lot working for them when they do eventually get to cross-examining her.
And by the way, if anybody has any questions for Elizabeth as we have our time with her, please submit them right now. Do you know if who's there on Diddy's side today? Is his family there?
Yeah, so we are seeing a lot of family members today. So, for example, we're seeing his sons, including, I almost said Tristan, but it's Justin and Christian. I'm sorry, everyone. I know today is Friday, and I'm feeling the Friday vibes. But also, Janice Combs was inside that courtroom today, too. His sister Keisha made an appearance today in court.
Yeah, the mom's been showing up a lot. Justin's there all the time. Christian's there all the time. We haven't seen the sisters as much. And Quincy pops in here and there.
She's been in there. Diddy's PR rep is in there. I think not on Diddy's side or anything, but I think notably someone in the courtroom today was Doug Wigder, who is Cassie's attorney. But as far as those who are who are on Diddy's side today, one of his really good friends and music producer, Charlucci, was there.
By the way, Chad, now that we know that it's Diddy's baby mom, not Diddy, I mean 50's baby mom, could we figure out what lawsuit, because she had to file a lawsuit. If she took the stand here, she got to file a lawsuit, right? What civil suit is hers? Do y'all know? Which civil suit? I'm going to have to go through 50 lawsuits and match the dates up with some of the stuff she's saying.
And his youngest daughter's mother was in there in that courtroom too. So he has a lot of support kind of working on his side today, a little bit more support than maybe we've seen for other days. But as far as just his daughters, we haven't seen them since week 1 of trial. So I think that's something kind of interesting. But he does still have his support system there, including probably one of his favorite people, his sons and his mother there, and his sister too.
There's always a lot of conversation about what happened yesterday and what exactly he was doing with respect to the jury. And, the question is if he's nodding towards them. This is a guy who has been accused for the last 3-4 weeks of intimidating people, witnesses, alleged victims, assistants. So was he potentially trying to intimidate the jury? It also could be maybe he was feeling the high of a successful cross-examination of a key witness, Brianna Bongolan, which we could talk about as well. But we get this question that came in from Ashley Glass. It's for you. If yesterday he was nodding at the jury, isn't that suspicious to him getting to a juror? Could they be compromised by Diddy? So I guess the question is there anything that you're observing here, Elizabeth, that would suggest 2 questions? Anything that looks like the jury might be siding with the defense, whether it's any kind of cross-examination that you've seen so far? Are they nodding? Are they looking? Are they responding positively to the defense? And number 2, do they look like they're affected by Diddy's presence or behavior in that courtroom?
Well, I don't know if they're necessarily affected by his behavior, because I thought after yesterday, after the judge kind of admonishing Diddy, I thought maybe there would be kind of a change in maybe facial expressions as far as the jurors not kind of looking his way. But I think because of the way the layout of the courtroom is, you can't help but kind of look over in that way or anything like that. But as far as just kind of him looking at the jurors, and let me just say, he doesn't just look at the jurors, he looks at everybody in the gallery too. There are moments where even us on the press side, he does make eye contact with us. And myself, who's not a juror on this case, I myself find that kind of intimidating. So I can only imagine kind of how the jurors are feeling when they're getting kind of looks from the defendant himself. And I'm also wondering, as far as just him nodding along, it was something, again, that he was doing, I think, a little bit longer than when the judge kind of pointed it out. He did this for other witnesses while they were on the witness stand too. But taking back to the point of whether or not the jurors that I could see necessarily agreeing with the defense, or maybe that it got to them, I'm not sure. I remember, I think it was Daniel Phillip who was testifying, or it might have been the Punisher who was testifying, where I did see one juror kind of nodding along to, and I believe the attorney who cross-examined both of those men was Xavier Donaldson, kind of nodding along to his line of cross-examination. But even as far as today goes, which we haven't gotten to the cross, it's still under the direct, so the prosecution's still asking those questions. I haven't seen much of a reaction.
So give me a second here. We haven't got to the violence, but apparently there is violence. Washington Post, Diddy remove. Okay, let me see if I can find it. Okay. Now, this is like a preview of it, and I think this came from opening statements. So we're gonna get to it eventually. By the way, remember I told you they said Jane Doe was supposed to get direct. She was supposed to get direct was supposed to end today. This is too much. I don't think they can end today. I think they're gonna continue into Monday and Tuesday. I think she's gonna be on the stand probably longer than Cassie. So I think the whole next week is Jane Doe. I think it's Jane Doe, which obviously we know now is 50 Cent's baby mom. And look at this. So they're going to have to detail this incident. Says she ran to the bedroom, locked the door. He kicked it open. Prosecutor Emily Johnson told the jury, describing an alleged incident in which Jane Doe was enraged Combs by hitting and throwing things at him. She ran to the bathroom, locked the door. He kicked it open. She ran to the closet and locked the door. He kicked it open. She ran to the guest bedroom, locked the door. He kicked it open. She tried to run out the front door, but he grabbed her in a chokehold, lifted her up off the ground by her neck, and kicked her to the ground. The government alleges that, like Cassie Ventura, Combs' former girlfriend and the trial star witness, Combs drugged Jane Doe and forced her to participate in freak-offs with male escorts, often video recorded the sex performances. She's a single mom who started spending time with Combs in 2020, according to prosecutors. At the beginning, they were not at all public, as Combs was seeing other women. Their sex life just involved the two of them, until Combs asked her to participate in a freak-off a few months into their relationship. Prosecutors alleged in open statements. To make her Combs happy, she agreed. They said that Combs took over her finances, as he allegedly did with Ventura, viciously attacked and blackmailed her with videos of her having sex with escorts. They also plan to play phone recordings that shows Combs trying to manipulate Jane into saying she wanted to have a freak-offs and making thinly veiled references to continuing to pay for Jane's home in exchange for her silence. So it looked like while Diddy was out on bail, Diddy was trying to do a little bit due diligence and hit up all the people he did freak-offs with to basically have them try to agree to it. To be like, hey, so by the way, he's probably like a recorded call. He's like, yo, by the way, so you wanted to do this freak-off, right? Remember we were doing freak-offs? You wanted to do this, right? So they claim that was Diddy trying to, get his story straight, or get people to, get a recording of somebody saying that they wanted to do it, right? Okay. Let's get back to the tweets. Comey says, did you ever see Cash during these hotel nights, and where? She says, yeah, I saw Cash in the drawers on the nightstand. Somebody says, AOC says, when Sean ran out of cash, what did he do? They say he made a phone call to his security assistants. KK. Cash would appear. How much? A good amount. To whom did Sean hand the cash? To Paul, to Don. He'd pay at the end. What would Sean say before he brought out his iPhone to record? Nothing. Or it's just for me. So I guess he would say, yo, this is just for me. AUSA says, did Sean sometimes act different? Jane says sometimes happy, sometimes he wasn't. Comey says, what directions would Sean give? To put on the baby oil onto the man, to touch myself. When he knew the camera was on you, when you knew the camera was on you, how did you react? It was just part of it. Did Sean ever record you while not on drugs? She said, no. Did you act like you enjoyed it? Yes. Why? I wanted to put on a good show. What fantasy talk did you engage in? So much. Role play. Fantasy. I'm sorry, there are just too many memories. He would create characters. Oh. Now, let me ask you a question. Because for the people who say Diddy's just his kink is just watching live porn, why not just, you could have a porn company and watch other people. It's more than just watching people fuck. I mean, Cameron explained it yesterday, right? Like, that's a voyeur. Like, a voyeur likes to watch people have sex. You're a cuck if you want to watch your girl have sex, right? So it's definitely more than just voyeurism. It's cuckoldry, you know? Comey says, I'm going to show you some exhibits. It's not on the council screen. How is this? Jane says, or who is this? Jane says, that's me and Don. The next one is me and Sly. And so what about this? It's me and Paul, then me and Leo, then Anton and myself. That's 5 dudes. Was Sean present for all of those? Yes. Wow. Diddy was present for all of those joints. Wow, wow, wow.
Reaction from them, but they're really kind of hard to read sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, are they really interested? Sometimes I'm like, are they jotting notes down pertaining to testimony? Are they possibly writing their own grocery list down? Because when you're inside that courtroom for hours on end listening to this really graphic stuff, sometimes I'm wondering, like, are they really paying attention? But from what I can see and from what the judge has even kind of complimented on is it seems that everyone is paying attention to what's going on inside the courtroom.
Got one more question for you. This is from Jonathan Berry. Who is coming up after Jane, Elizabeth?
I do not know who's coming up after Jane. I'm very curious to see. I think a lot of us are possibly wanting to hear from somebody that we've been hearing a lot about, and that being KK or Christina Koram. But the government hasn't given any indication if she'll take the stand, and if she does take the stand, when that'll be. But I do think what the government is gearing up for is just their summary witness to eventually take the stand, and that person's going to really kind of wrap up everything together, probably show some demonstrative exhibits as far as just these different charts and how the escorts were flown out on certain days and all of that stuff. So I think for sure we're getting kind of possibly, maybe, depending on how you look at it, close to the end of the government's case, but I don't want to put words in their mouth just in case we see maybe 20 more witnesses down the line, and I don't want y'all to get mad at me when that happens.
No one will ever get mad at you. Don't you know that by now, Elizabeth? Elizabeth, thank you so much. Great reporting as always. Lot to break down here. We're going to take your questions. I'll allow Elizabeth to jump back into the courtroom. Okay, so let me bring in my
Thank you, Jam. All right, cool. We're back in here. So we got another tweet here. Jane says I would wear stripper shoes the entire freak off. Comey said, what would happen with the baby oil? Jane says it would drip down into the shoes, and I would try to keep my balance. Okay? You can't hear me? Wait, y'all can't hear me? All right. I'll go back to tweet. So they're showing some exhibits. It's not on the screen. It looks like they're still shots of videos. So like looked like Diddy was recording, and they seized Diddy's phone, so they got these videos of the freak offs, and it's just pictures of Cassie and the guy. It looks like it's early into the freak off, because if you don't know how the freak off, like how it goes, is that initially the freak off would start where they're oiling each other up. And I guess they took screenshots of that. They're not showing it in the gallery because it's pornographic. They're naked, and they're showing it to Daphne Joy and saying, "Do you know who these two people are?" And she's like, "Yes, that's me and Don. That's me and Sly. That's me and Paul. That's me and Leo. And then that's Anton and myself." And so, was Diddy present? They said yes. She also said, "I wore stripper shoes the whole time." And so, what would happen with the baby oil? Jane says it would drip down in the shoes. Okay, I would try to keep my balance. And said, "Did Sean ask you to get your nipples pierced?" She said, "Yes." He said it would turn him on. So she's telling you the lengths she was going through to try to please this guy. Okay. Okay. Let's see. What's the name of that other lawyer that's outside? What's the name of that other lawyer? Starts like an A or something like that. What's her name? Damn, can't remember. Okay, whatever. I was trying to get her take on it. All right. So Jane Doe is crying. And, okay. Comey says, "Who set up your Pearson appointment?" Jane says, KK. Yo, KK got to testify. She's getting tossed into too many things as being a liaison or something of the sort, where she got to, It says, "Who set up your Pearson appointment?" KK. Then it says, "They got my lingerie and my nipples got infected. They got caught in my lingerie and my nipples got infected. I took them off." What did Sean say? He said, "Where are my piercings? This is the last time I want to see you without them." Oh, shit. So Diddy gets mad that, it's Simone. This is
I
her.
wanted to give you an afternoon update. I'm going to give you a moment real quickly for everyone to come on and join in. But this is an update on Jane Doe's testimony, okay? Jane Doe, she is on the stand now. This is an update on her testimony. And y'all, it's not looking good for the prosecution on this one.
Oh, word?
It's not looking good. Listen, I told you guys yesterday, I had some serious concerns about where the prosecution was going with this, and they haven't gotten there. We got major issues. Now, number one of the first issues is, where is KK? Where are D-Rock? The prosecution is going to really need to call someone like KK, the chief of staff, to bring this RICO organization together. Now, I testified previously, and I had said, let us know where you're joining from as you're watching. I testified, stated previously, I was like, KK is expected to be on the stand next week. She is expected to be one of the last witnesses. But here's the thing, guys. They currently said Jane, who's on the stand now, that Jane is supposed to be there until up to like next Thursday, which doesn't leave room if they're actually still planning to call KK. And then as far as D-Rock, same thing. I said I wasn't too sure about D-Rock, but I did feel that they needed to have some form of security. It says so far, I think it froze for a second for me. But here's the other thing. Remember, I said they really need to have KK on that stand next week to really bring together the RICO enterprises. It looks like KK may not be coming. Here's why I say that. The other day, there was this huge debate over an exhibit. The judge has not yet made a formal ruling, but it's a text message stream that's got Diddy on it, it's got D-Rock, and it's got KK. And it's where Diddy is, they're organizing to basically like fly in some S workers or something along those lines. It's basically talking about helping to prove up the RICO enterprise. The problem is there's a dispute on whether it can come in as evidence. Now, the prosecution is saying it should be allowed in as these people are co-conspirators. Here's the problem, Your Honor. I mean, here's the problem, audience. You guys are the jury. I'm used to being on it. The problem is that generally if you're going to have the witness take the stand, the witness who's in that email string, in that text message string, can take the stand and authenticate it. But by the sounds of the argument for that motion, D-Rock ain't taking the stand, and neither is KK, which is why they're having trouble getting that text message string admitted into evidence. Hey guys, hit that subscribe as you come on in. Hit that subscribe. Also, let me know your questions in the chat, and I'm going to get to the summary of Jane Doe's morning testimony. If you're new here, I'm your legal bestie, Attorney Simone. I'm an attorney, and I break down celebrity cases on YouTube here at my channel, Girl Is That Legal. Now, remember, as you're listening to me, I have not, quote, picked a side. People are like, oh, you need to pick your side. No, you hit the wrong place, baby. That's not what I'm here for. I am telling you from a legal perspective, as an attorney who has done this type of work, right? Hey, Dennis, how are you doing? As an attorney, I'm telling you the holes, the strengths, the weaknesses, so that you guys can be the jury and you guys can make a determination on how. Hit that like button as you come.
All right, come on.
So weak that my concern is that it's going to water down even the stronger evidence that's there for Cassie. Now, here's why. One of the strongest pieces was this morning. There was audio that was played in the court, audio from one of their hotel nights. She calls them hotel nights. In Cassie's instance, they called it the free calls. And in the audio, you hear Jane basically saying that she wanted to use a condom. And Diddy is saying, oh, girl, you know you need to take that D. What you worried about a condom now was the gist. So, in other words, he's coercing her to be intimate with this male hooker without a condom. Yeah. Okay. That doesn't mean S trafficking, though. It says that doesn't mean S trafficking. S trafficking has to be using coercion or threats to force someone or to get someone to do something against their will. Here, honestly, what we've heard is that she really, really loves Diddy. I mean, this woman loves Diddy down. Do y'all know they were together up until the day?
Y'all say it's not love, it's just money. But it looked like you don't think Daphne loved Diddy at all? You think it's only for the money? Because here's my thing. Daphne, she's like, how many followers she got? Bro, she got, let's see. Bro, she got 1.6 million followers. She looks pretty good. Like, she could find like some rich guy to take care of her, bro. You don't think so? Let's say she needs 20,000 a month. She could find some rich guy to give her 20 bands a month, my dude. Like, what I'm thinking is that, no, she wanted to be with Diddy. Like, she wants to be the trophy wife of somebody important. She know who she just fuck with, which is 50. Yeah, I think there had to be, even if you think the love is not coming from a just honest place, there got to be some love there, And also, this is another thing I say to y'all. Even a woman who's a gold digger, after a while, she catches feelings for the person. You ever see two people together and you're like, yo, damn, how do you bag her? Listen, maybe she entertained the motherfucker because it was just, there's a financial incentive. But over time, unless you're a psychopath, you kind of like the person. I do think she did like him, right? Yeah, but because if it's only for money, look at this chick. Like, she could definitely find some crypto guy to give her 20 bands a month. If she's throwing neck like that, bro, she's getting fucked left, right, center. So, I can't believe, and again, we're still not hearing any, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not hearing no life-changing money. Like, we're not hearing money like, for example, we're not hearing, oh, shit, Diddy gave her 300,000. Like, he's giving her 5 bands, 10 bands. Like, I'm going to keep it a bean with you. Like, to keep it 100, when I'm with a girl, that's what I give it. I'm like, all right, man, get out of my face, man. Go shop or some shit like that. You do it to your girl. That's not simping, by the way. That's just real nigga shit. But Diddy's not, like, giving her, like, yo, here's 50 bands. Or here's 100,000. So I do think that part of why she likes him is because of who he is. He's Diddy. She wants to be with Diddy. Like to this day, I'm still trying to see like the big money that Diddy was giving these chicks. Like, granted, these chicks are broke as shit. So like 10, 15 bands is still a lot of money. But if it's only money, she could find some crypto nigga to give her that money, bro. You don't think so? Come on.
day of his arrest. She was not leaving this man. And what it really sounds like, y'all,
Somebody said you paid for them to leave, not for the act.
is that she
Somebody said save her. Hell no. I think her price probably went up. And I ain't gonna lie, she better drop her OnlyFans now. After all the shit she done submitted to, she better drop her OnlyFans now.
knew he had other girlfriends. She wanted to be the last woman standing. She continues to refer to him as my partner, my lover. She loved this man.
Yeah, she wanted him to love her. Again, of course, money's a thing. One of the things I love when people say it, when they see two people, or they'll say let's say Diddy, they'd be like, he probably think they with him because of anything but the money. Like when you're Diddy or whoever, it's baked in the cake that you are famous and rich. You know what I mean? Like it's only people who aren't famous and rich try to separate the person. Like part of their identity is that they're famous and rich. So, you know, people be like, yo, he wouldn't be getting her if he was broke. Well, he wouldn't be Diddy if he was broke. You know what I mean? So someone liking Diddy, yes, they probably do like his lifestyle and like the fact that he's famous as well.
And that her strategy was to be the last woman standing and that he would then settle down with her perhaps one day. Now, how do you get there? You got to make all of his nasty little fantasies come true. And that's what she was focused on doing. I'm not seeing a level of coercion that in any way would bring this over to the S trafficking. Now, there's more days of testimony. We are just on the morning. So I'm just talking about what happened this morning. Hold on, let me read this. It says, hey, everyone. Yeah. And here's the other thing, y'all. Now, y'all were mad at me. I was live. I was really frustrated yesterday because number one, I felt like the prosecution ended at a poor point. That you need to end on a strong point so that when the jury goes home and thinks about what they heard that day, they're like, oh, yeah, maybe we see something here. And instead, I felt like it was almost an insult to the jury to have this woman take the stand and say that
she loves him so
basically
much.
She didn't want to work and that her sole sources of income were child support and an allowance of $10,000 a month from Diddy, and that made her feel coerced into doing what Diddy wanted. When you got these hardworking people on the jury, we got a masseuse, we've got a deli worker, we've got a warehouse worker on.
Chat, I keep telling you how the price of pussy is cheap as shit nowadays. Let's do the math on that. $10,000 a month. The niggas having you freak off every pretty much 3-day long freak off. Like literally, remember she said freak offs felt like work. So let's do 10,000. I'm doing the math on the calculator over here. Actually, I put the calculator here and y'all can see it. 10,000 divided by 30. So she was getting paid $333 a day to do freak offs, bro. This is bad. This is bad work, chat. This is bad work. This is bad work. That's what I keep telling you. Listen, if somebody told you a woman this beautiful for a nice installment, for a nice layaway plan of $333 a day, you can get her to fuck 10 niggas a day, suck you off to infinity and beyond, give you massages, cook for you, everything. I'm sorry. I don't even think it's tricking at that point. What the fuck? She was doing this for 10 bands a month. Chat, this is crazy. By the way, I wonder if she was doing chat, I'm wondering if she was she probably did the female finesse. Listen to this, chat. This is what I think. Right? This is what I think. Because it doesn't make sense if she's paying $10,000 for her home, she only gets 10 from Diddy. Here's the thing though, chat. And this is my thought. I thought about it. I think I don't know if it's pronounced or like it was announced. I think 50 was paying for the home. I don't know exactly what his child support situation was, but I think 50 was paying for the home because the kid lives with the mom. And a lot of times in child support, agreements is that you got to pay for the place that the kid's gonna be living in when you making all that money that 50 is. Sometimes you got to pay for the driver, you got to pay for that. So I think 50 was paying for the place. However, when she's trying to negotiate an allowance, right, with Diddy, the best way for her to leverage and ask for more money is to say, Sean, I need this amount of money. This is my bills. This is my rent. She not paying that shit, bro. 50 paying that. But she gets to say, I need 10 bands because my rent 10 bands. Right? Now, it probably got into rocky times because remember, she moved out to LA. And I don't know when 50 found out that she was fucking with Diddy, but she moved out to LA to be closer to Diddy. But I think 50 was paying for the house, but when she was trying to get money from Diddy, she would tell Diddy, I got bills, my nigga. I need 10 bands. I really need 20. Remember, she wanted 20. And he said, I ain't doing 20. She said, give me 15. I ain't doing, I'll give you 10. She said, give me the 10. I think 50 was paying for that shit. Think about it. Her rent alone is 10 bands. She wouldn't be able to pay nothing else. No car, no nothing. But I think her basic necessities, including rent, were taken care of by 50. The money Diddy was giving her, straight spending money. But even then, let's go down that money for 30 days, $10,000 a month, comes out to a measly $333. She was getting freaked off, man. For $333 a day. Chat. I know y'all hard on thoughts and y'all don't pay for pussy and y'all don't trick and simp and all that shit. But for a small installment fee of $333 a day, would you pay for this chick to fuck on command anybody you want? Well, obviously, you wouldn't have her fuck other people, but fuck on demand. It's $333 a day. And clearly, she needed it or liked that amount of money so much because Diddy would constantly threaten taking it away. All right, you want to freak off today? All right, I'm about to stop giving you that 10 bands. I'm about to stop giving you that motherfucking 10 bands, right? Holy.
On the jury who don't make that in a whole month. And she's complaining about that. Now, there was also strong evidence that was supported. She reinforced the evidence of transportation for prostitution. They had her run down a list of the male hookers that she was intimate with. And she established.
Yeah, I put some, I put like, oh, you can't really see it. I put motherfucking Tito's and lemonade in here. And this is how this case is fucking me up. We've been hearing about so much bodily fluids. I looked at this and I'm like, this shit look like piss. This shit look like one of them freak off piss bottles. Like, ew. But it was actually lemonade. I'm telling you, bro.
Established that they lived in one city or would come to another. Basically, all they had to show is that transportation occurred, dealing with, two different states. But at this point, it's like, girl, get a job. Why won't you just get a job if this is such a big deal?
Attorney Simone, let me say this to you. I know a few women. I'll even mention a situation. I don't want to dox the person or just expose who it is. There was I was with a woman. And here's the thing. When she found out how much I was making, it was impossible to even mention anything any word that started with a J and ends with a B. Trust. At one point, I said to her, listen, I pay for everything anyway. But at this time, listen, an idle woman a woman with all the time, like, women got to have it. Yo, fellas, you know this. Your woman got to have a job. Otherwise, you become her job. She was all up in my business. I couldn't cheat in peace. I couldn't do nothing. Bitch was, and it's, listen, this is years ago, okay? Over 5 years. So whoever y'all think about now. So I'm telling her, I'm like, listen, how about you get a job? Because you be dumb bored. I got to work anyway because I'm working, right? I said, how about you get a job? Whatever you get at the job, you know, you can buy whatever you want with it. Like, I pay for everything anyway. We got into a huge fight over it because at first, I think I was trying to get her a job at a bank. You know what I mean? She basically told me, she says the only job she would do, she said, I want a job that is like cool like your job. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, basically she was telling me, nigga, I ain't getting a motherfucking job. I don't want to work. I'm good. I don't want nothing that I got to actually work. If I'm not feeling like I'm having fun and it's not work, I don't want to do it. So lo and behold, she never got a job. So again, I know Simone is a lawyer, so she's like, what women think? Nah, I know mad women who think like this. They're allergic to anything that start with a J and end with a B. That's a fact. I'm telling you. That is once you date a guy, and I'm not saying all women, because I know some women, like, I ain't gonna cap with you. Remember I told you, Shorty, you see, now I'm like free and single. I could like speak about stories, because before I'd be like, I ain't gonna say shit. Remember I told you, I was dealing with a girl and her man called me? Remember? And like, I think I blasted him, but I was like, yo, bro, could you stop calling me about your girl? He was like, he would call me like, yo, my girl at your house, bro? And I'm like, what the fuck? Anyway, she was from the chat actually at low key. Like, I swear. So I was dating I wasn't dating, but I was dealing with this girl. She low key watched the stream. She from the chat. And this whole time, and I remember like trying to tell her to quit because we were dealing with each other for like a few months. She worked at T-Mobile. And the whole time I'm like, wait, you're leaving my house to go to fucking T-Mobile? She was. You get what I'm saying? And she still works there. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was trying to get her to quit, but the only thing I'm like, yo, if I get her to quit her job, I got to be locked in with her. Because, like, ain't no, like, somebody quit their job is going to be like, nigga, you told me to quit, nigga. Now you over here trying to, like, but anyway. There are some women who, and by the way, even then, while she was dealing with me for like a couple months, she still kept going to work. Hey, I got to go to work. And I'm like, bruv, how much are they paying you at T-Mobile? Like $3 an hour? I don't know what the fuck you get paid. But she was a hard worker, and I respect her a lot, by the way. She was always going to work, and I respect that. You know what I mean? It wasn't about how much she got paid. It was about the mentality of not because I'm fucking with a rich dude means I don't work. She's a chick who always worked. But there are many women, when they fuck with, and especially if they're all like Daphne, yeah. Yo, she's allergic to a job, nigga. The fuck? She ain't gonna work. So I could see why Simone doesn't understand that, but I know some chicks who they allergic to working. Trust.
Specifically, y'all. So on cross, the defense is going to be able to get in and ask her, well, how much are you getting for child support? Like I said, I told y'all last night, I think she was getting between $7,000 and $12,000 a month for child support. She sure is. She is getting something around that $7,000 mark for child support. There's so many people on this jury who don't get anything near that and may not even make that per month. So in other words, she could have lived just fine on that child support, but didn't want to work. That doesn't bring it to coercion. It says, somebody said McDonald's can't pay for her lifestyle. That's true. But here's the thing. Here's some facts, okay? I'm going to give you facts to bite on. I'm not going to call anybody no names today. We're going to deal with facts, and I want to hear in the—
Yeah, and that's true, too. I've also realized, I won't say about every woman, but a woman who is usually allergic to a job, they start selling pussy in one way or another. That's true, too. I'll be honest with you. Like, some way or another, they realize their job and their hustle is between their legs. 100%. I agree with you on that one. 100%.
In the chat below your thoughts of these facts.
Yeah, every time I've met a chat queen, it's always a hard work. I've never had a bad experience being a chat queen. They're always hardworking. I got a wife up a girl from chat. That's a fact. I got a wife up a girl from chat.
Here they are. I need you to know this timeline. She starts dating Diddy basically January of 21. They have a normal relationship, like February. She first meets him. Her birthday's in February. February, they have like the time of their lives. January, February, something around that time. And it wasn't until May of 21 that she has her first freak off hotel night. After that, the rest of the time, every other time with Diddy, she has a freak off. Now it's clear. Diddy apparently can't seem to calm. He can't seem to, calm without this freak off experience, which is its own level of weird. But factually.
No, it's not. Chad, I'm going to be honest with you. You get to a certain, I think Diddy, well, first of all, I think he's gay. So I do think he's attracted to men, and he's always suppressed it. But I do think Diddy and some of these other people y'all are hearing, they're super freaked out. Like, when I mean super freaked out, they're so overexposed to sex, it's like a drug at that point. Like the dopamine fix from just even a regular sex experience doesn't do it anymore. Like, these guys have had all these experience, probably have had sex with multiple women, multiple nights for the majority of, like, especially somebody like Diddy, for decades. I think he got to the point where regular sex didn't really do it for him. And he was trying to like bridge the gap between, he liked dangling. He liked dangling. That's what he liked, dangling. But I do know, honestly, I do know a lot of entertainers and people in this entertainment life where they kind of say the same shit. Where like regular sex is boring to them because they've had so much of it. So you then see them do these different alternative type of things. Like, I hate to bring other people in it, but, and maybe this is just a marriage issue rather than just super freaked out issue, so you need to do some other weird stuff. But T.I. and Tiny, go down that rabbit hole and look at the sexual stuff that they were into, and some of the people who spoke out. They would say that's how T.I. was able to get his rocks off. Who knows? Maybe that's just you with Tiny for so long, it doesn't do it for you no more. But and with all due respect, I'm trying to like handle this with kid gloves too. Pause. But so you got to bring other people in. That's how he gets his rocks off. I don't know, but I've seen certain people where they gotta. You start seeing it get a little weirder and weirder, because I do believe the more freaked out you get, where like you're constantly you fucking all these beautiful women time and time and time again, and you get essentially whatever you want, whenever you want, at a certain point, you start to then, because, it's a dopamine fix. You start to seek new thrills. And it might start with, okay, threesomes. Then it might start with, okay, me and my homie, we just piping 2 girls down, same room. Then it might start with, yo, we just, everybody fucking and everybody rotating. Then it might go to, yo, we like just fucking outside, or I like to just watch. Like, I don't know necessarily. One thing for sure, 2 things for certain, Diddy's gay to me. But I'm wondering, like, I have heard entertainers say they're into certain shit, and I'm like, what? Like, what's up with that? And it feels like the root of those issues essentially came from them just having too much sex, and like regular sex was no longer appealing to them. I don't know. Maybe I'm on to something. Maybe I'm not.
I want you got to know this timeline for the.
I mean, some of y'all should know. Like, chat, especially if you're in a relationship. Say you're in a relationship. And by the way, I usually say, and I still stick to this, you're not in a real relationship unless you live with your partner. Okay? Y'all just playing around. Okay? If you got to live with your partner to really be in a real relationship. But when you are in a real relationship and you live with your partner, and y'all probably have a healthy sex life, y'all probably have sex maybe every day or every other day. That pussy do hit a little bit different if you go like 6 days. Like, right, if you one of them niggas who don't run red lights, and let's say she's on her period and you don't fuck her for like 6-7 days, and you fuck her the day after. And I'm only bringing this up, I'm not trying to TMI y'all up to death, but if you, it feels better when you haven't had it either. I think Diddy was just constantly a sex addict and trying, like, he wouldn't abstain, so he's trying to do these other weird, freaky shit to keep getting that high, and also he's balancing this thing because he's a closeted homosexual individual. I don't know. Like, I'm kind of throwing shit at the wall. I don't know if it's sticking. Pause. Y'all let me know.
The coercion. So in effect, she begins in May of 21 doing these freak offs. Diddy doesn't even give her a consistent allowance until until 23. It was in.
So the Diddy and Cassie situation has been getting freakier and freakier by the day. The more and more I hear about these allegations, Diddy is a freaky man, the king of the freak-offs. And Cassie, you feel me, she was young, vulnerable. But like what Ak said, she could have left. Like, Diddy was not holding her well. This is what's hard for me. Allegedly, Diddy wasn't holding her hostage, but she said on the video that came out in the hotel where he hit her over and drug her back, she was trying to leave one of the freak offs, and Diddy said, "Oh no, you're not gonna leave the freak offs. You gotta, yeah, wait till the dude, uh, bust a nut allegedly, then all over you, then scrape it off, go in the other room and rub it on my nipples." That's what he wanted. It sounds so crazy to say, but that's what Diddy wanted. Like, we seen him in the robe. I thought he was just fresh out the shower, but allegedly he was probably butt naked. I'm surprised there was no baby oil on her or him, or she wiped it off. That's why he was so mad. It was no baby oil on. Hey man, I genuinely feel bad for Cassie. I feel bad for her husband too, because he has to be in court and he's listening to all these things. And I don't really think Cassie's lying about anything. Like, Cassie just seems like a nice girl, probably like gentle, innocent, like, and she just wanted a career. Like, man, I'm struggling here because I want to be very, very honest about everything, like my point of view. I don't think Diddy was the best of best people, and I think everything he did to Cassie was wrong, and it was definitely manipulative and all that stuff. But like, is it sex trafficking though? Like, this is what he's charged for. Like, domestic violence, yes. Assault, yes. Like, probably a bunch of other crazy stuff, yes. But sex trafficking, bro, I don't know if you could say he was sex trafficking. But it's only day 2 of the trial. And I'm gonna be very, very unbiased about every single thing I say. It's day 2 of the trial. Diddy is he's there every day. They say that he's looking white as hell, he's gray as hell. He's, you feel me? They said he was looking at Cassie the whole time. But day 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe 2 weeks later, there might be someone else taking the stand, and we don't know how that's gonna go. Maybe like 3 days later, there's gonna be a new person taking the stand, and they just expose everything about Diddy. Like, we don't know fully everything Diddy's done yet. Like, there might have been men that he was having free calls with. Like, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like, Act was the line about what he said. Diddy should just came out and said that he was a flexible, bro. He should just said he was bisexual, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie. And what Act said, bro, all these rappers gotta come out who was around Diddy, like really, really hung around Diddy and was like really cool with him. They need to come out and like, yeah, yeah, bro. You gotta defend yourself, your integrity. You feel me? But your boy Big Act News. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And do you feel like Diddy's innocent, or do you feel like he's guilty? And we're talking about sex trafficking. Like, we're not talking about is he a good person or not. Do you think he's guilty of sex trafficking, Cassie? It's your boy Big Act News, and I'm out.